let's talk about some of the threat from variants and how they are, what that looks like for how GAVI, how the COVAX facility is thinking through next steps to perhaps deliver beyond what was originally envisioned or imagined.
Well, first of all, as much as I love Gail, I am sorry to say that it is evolutionarily certain there will be more outbreaks. The question is how prepared we are for them. And of course, I do hope that they don't come right on the heels. On the other hand, we're dealing with 2 Ebola outbreaks right now in the middle of this. So I think what has been the problem has been the world has not really planned and put the efforts into being there for pandemics, which of course, you know, are some of the worst threats to our economy, to our well-being. And I think that's the key lesson we have to do is in peacetime, if I want to use that term, we have to continue to focus on these issues. But getting back to the variant question, we have to remember we are 4 months into the era of vaccines now. And the first thing on the variants is we need better surveillance. I mean, we have places like the UK where they're sequencing all the time and they have a good knowledge. And then we have large areas of continents where we have very little information on what's happening. And that's a threat to those countries, to those continents, but it's a threat to the world because we need to be able to track that. What do we know so far? Well, we know that they've become more transmissible, and we also know that some of the interventions have been less effective, some not effective at all, some of the antibody treatments. But the good news so far is the vaccines seem to continue to protect against severe disease, which is the critical component for them. But we need to be prepared for what to do in the future. So we don't know how long these vaccines last for. And we don't yet fully understand the epidemiology. So, for example, do we need to ultimately vaccinate children? We don't have vaccines yet for children. But one of the things that has to be worked on now is being able to answer the question, should we, after we cover the high-risk groups, which is about 20% in countries, do we linearly keep vaccinating to high levels? Do we need to go back and vaccinate those high-risk people again because the vaccines aren't, you know, sustaining their immunity or because they're having, they need new vaccines against the variants? You know, or do we need to change and have vaccinations on a regular basis that are either adjusted for variants or are supplementing with variant vaccines? So there's a lot of scientific questions there, which is why what we have to do now is get the baseline coverage as soon as possible, because the more vaccines you have, the less variants, the less risk. But then we're going to need to follow the science to decide what the interventions are going to be going forward.